Hello, and let's start our week, week 6. Technically, it's week 2 of stats. Talking about the normal curve and confidence intervals. So, this is going to be either 2 to 3 videos. I'm not sure yet. We'll see how long it takes. And we will go through these slides. So, the first thing I'm going to talk about is a Likert scale. A lot of you are going to be using Likert scales when you do your surveys if you are asking for people's opinions on things. So, a Likert scale is a general format for a survey that asks respondents to answer in a range of 1 to 5, usually 1 being strongly disagree to 5 being strongly agree. So, it's strongly agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. When you do this, what we're going to do is we're taking technically a categorical response, an agreement, and we're assigning it a level, which is numerical. So, what this is your data is technically categorical, but it has a numerical component. It is ordinal because it can be ordered. And interval ratio, this one's a little bit tricky. If we talk about it as being normal, a ratio of 0, it's kind of weird. So we'll just skip that part. And this would be discrete because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't usually let people use decimals. I bring all of this up to tell you that technically here's where we get into like muddy waters. And one of the cliches I like to use is statistics means never having to say you're certain. We can kind of change statistics based on what we need it to be. In this case, we are going to change categorical information into numerical quantitative data. All right. So we are going to do some stuff in a survey file so you can see what it looks like to analyze a survey. So if you want to follow along, we are going to open up the survey data, and I will do the same. There it is. And we're going to interpret the results. So this is me showing you how you might do this for your project, okay? So here is survey data. Fantastic. And let's assign these things some values. So what I'm going to do here is off to the side, I am going to, where is what I'm looking for? There we go. So let's say gender, 1 equals male, 2 equals female. Service. Now let's say this is a survey of people who had a lawn company come and do things for their lawn. So let's say service number 1 equals people who have had lawn mowing. Number 2 is fertilizer. And 3 is leaf removal. Okay. So if I look, I have people answering gender in 1s and 2s, and I have people service 1, 2s, and 3s. And then let's say for questions 1 through 8, they are using a Likert survey where 1 equals strongly disagree and 5 equals strongly agree. Okay. Now, I did something here on purpose. I said in questions 1 through 8, the most important thing that I want to leave you with, maybe not the most important, but a really important thing I want to leave you with is Likert surveys are not questions, they are statements. You cannot say, what do you think about your boss's leadership? And then ask people to strongly agree or strongly disagree with a question. That's ridiculous. People agree or disagree with a statement. My boss is an adequate leader. Then you decide. My boss responds to conflicts appropriately. Those are sentences. So when we do these Likerts, I'm going to say instead of questions 1 through 8, I'm going to say statements 1 through 8 are answered on a strongly disagree to strongly agree scale. All right. Now, just to make it easier on us, let's say number 1, the statement was the staff was courteous and polite. 2, I would recommend this service to others. 3, let's say the price was fair for the work done. 4, let's say The staff was on time, and I think that's good. We'll go 1 through 4. So here are 4 survey statements that people have responded to. Now, I want to know, how did they respond overall? So what I'm going to do with this is I am going to create histograms and then talk about what those histograms mean and what the descriptive statistics mean. So I am going to do these one at a time. So let me show you how to do something. When you collect information, it's nice to have a locked sheet. So what I'm going to do, number here on sheet 1, is I am going to rename it to original data, and I am going to protect this sheet. So I am going to protect the sheet and contents of its locked cells and hit OK. And what's going to happen now is if I come in here and I try to type a 5, it says this is protected. You can't do that. What you can also do to show that it's protected, and I like to do this too, is red. Don't touch that one. But what you can do with a protected sheet is you can save things. So I'm going to Control C this gender data and put it down here in number 2, and then change sheet 2 to gender. And do the same thing really quick for the other things. All right, so this was gender, this was service, this was number 1. Okay, so here's my original data, and here are some things that we can analyze. Now, let's say I want to analyze gender. There's 2 ways to do that. You can use descriptive statistics or histograms, both of which you learned in week 1, and I want to analyze that a little bit more within some context. So what I want to do to analyze this is I'm going to go to the Data tab. I'm going to go to Data Analysis, Descriptive Stats, hit OK. My input range is going to be this gender data. And then I have a label. I'm going to output it in, let's say, right here. And I want summary statistics. Okay. So here is all my gender information. The average of gender is 1.41379. I can actually get information out of that. You wouldn't think so, but if one is male, if one is male and 2 is female, and my average is less than 1.5, that means I have more 1s than 2s. And just based on this number right here, I automatically know I had more men responding than women. That's important information. I can also tell that because my mode is 1 and my range is 1. That all makes sense. Okay, so one thing you can do is descriptive stats, but descriptive stats, all I know now is there's more men than women. Sometimes that's better to see on a graph. Remember, if I want to graph this, if I want to do a histogram, I have to do bins. Okay, now my bins are just going to be the answers people could state, which was 1 or 2, male or female. So I'm going to go back to my data analysis, choose histogram this time. My input is the gender data. My bin range is the bin range. I do have labels, and I am going to output it right next to the bins. And I want a chart, and then I hit OK. And there's my histogram. 1 and 2, though, not so descriptive, so I'm going to type over that. Type male and female. And then use this to delete more. I don't need that. I need a good title. I'm going through this fast, but I just want to show you, here are things you can do with this. So count of gender. And this is really hard to look at, so I'm going to stretch it out a little bit. I'm going to do that other thing where I go to add data labels, and there were 17 men and 12 women. Ta-da! Now, we did something before where I changed the gap width. These aren't numbers, so I don't really need to change the gap width. You can if you want to, but I don't think it's necessary here. There we go. Instead of bins, this would probably be nicer if it said gender, huh? And so there we go. I have information. With statistics, you want to give people the most amount of information in the least amount of time. This will do that for you. Now, what can I do next? Let's come over here to service. I'm going to do all of the same things with service that I did before, but I'm not going to make you sit through it this time. So let me pause this for a moment. And when I come back, which will be in 1 second for you, but like 3 minutes for me, I'll go over what happens. Okay, so there is more information on your screen. When I went and I did my descriptive statistics, what I found was that the average of the service performed was 2. Well, now that I have 3 choices, having an average of 2 might mean there's a whole bunch of 2s and then a couple 3s, or a whole bunch of 1s and a whole bunch of 3s and no 2s. The average here, not that helpful. Now, the fact that the mode is 2 is helpful. So the most often service performed was choice 2. But beyond that, these descriptive statistics, really not that helpful to me. So I'm going to go back here and remember what my services were: mowing, fertilizer, and leaf removal. And I'm going to come over here and add them to the bins. Oops, that was bad. There we go. And now I can look at this histogram and realize, okay, so honestly, it was spread pretty evenly. Mow, fertilize, and leaf removal. 11 people got fertilizer services, 10 with leaves, 8 had mowing. Awesome. Now I have more information. Surely I have much quicker information than looking down at this list here. All right. Now, that's not the power of all of this, though. The power lies in what we're going to do next with the survey. So I am going to come over here, look at number 1. I am going to, again, pause my video and put all this stuff up on the screen and then show you, all right, what can we do with each of this descriptive information and a histogram that goes with it. So I am going to pause for a moment and I'll be right back. For you, it won't be any time at all. Okay, so what I've done thus far is all I've done of this is the descriptive statistics. So if I'm going to analyze these, I probably want to remember what statement I was asking people to agree about. The staff was courteous and polite. Okay, so I'm going to put that over here. The staff was courteous and polite. We had an average of 1.86, and if we remember, 1 was strongly disagree, 5 was strongly agree. That's the range that we're looking at here. If I got a mean of 1.86, no pun intended, the staff was mean. They disagreed. People responded with disagreement that the staff was courteous and polite. And I know that right from that piece of information. I have an average of less than 2. That's bad. Now, standard error, we don't have to worry about. Median was 2. That means of all the people who responded, who I believe there were 29. Yeah, of the 29 people who responded, if I put them in order, 15 or more of them responded 2 or less. That's not good. And the mode is 2. So that means the most frequently occurring value was that people disagreed that the staff was courteous and polite. Never a good thing. So I just got a whole bunch of information. But I wonder if there were some people who thought the staff was courteous. That's where the histogram comes in. Now, I didn't type the bins ahead of time because I wanted to talk to you about that. When we're doing bins on discrete data, you usually want 1 bin for each piece of data. On the previous one, we did like bins in groups of 10, like people who are from 20 to 29 years old and 30 to 39 years old. I'm not looking at that here. People could have responded 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and that's it. So those are going to be my bins. So when I go to do the histogram, my input range is there. My bin range is right here. Labels, output, chart, fantastic. And 1 stood for strongly disagree. 2 was disagree. 3 was neutral. 4 was agree. 5 was strongly agree. And I'm going to delete this to get rid of more. Delete the frequency. Pull my histogram down here and stretch it a little bit. frequency of agreement. You know what? I'm not even going to put frequency. I'm just going to say staff was courteous and polite. I can make that a title. These are not good responses. How bad are they? Let's add some data labels. Yeah, 16 people disagreed. 25 people overall either strongly disagreed or just plain out disagreed. All right, so not good customer service on the part of this lawn company. All right, so that is what you can do with Likert values and how you can analyze them to try to make results, to try to make, I shouldn't even say results, that's a bad way to put it, to try to make conclusions about the results that you get. All right, I am going to wrap this up right here and then come back and we'll talk about what do these distributions mean.